So welcome everyone. My name is Andrea DeHaan. I'm the Outreach Coordinator for the College of Humanities and Social Sciences, and thank you so much for joining us today for this quick virtual tour of some specific programs in the College of Humanities and Social Sciences. And in particular, we are highlighting caring and service professions in today's talk. So we're going to be talking to you a bit more about our programs that will help you find a career in those areas. And I do want to take a moment to go over the agenda and some of the people who are here with me today. And then very quickly, I'm going to be turning things over to the Director of CHaSS Advising to talk a little bit about our college in general before we move into some breakout sessions. Before I go to the next slide, though, I do want to say, if you are listening this morning as an attendee, we can't hear you, we can't see you, but we know that you're there. We can see you in our attendee roster. And I would just ask, if you have any technical problems, feel free to put them in the chat feature. You can either send a chat to me privately, or you can make that chat available to everyone. And if that is something you want everyone to see, make sure you choose everyone in the drop-down menu. If you just have general questions about the things we're talking about, or you have questions that you want to see addressed in the breakout sessions, you can use the Q&A feature for those. So again, there's a chat feature you can use just to say a general hello or to let me know of any problems. And there's the Q&A feature that you can use to ask specific questions about our programs. So do keep in touch and let us know about that. And now I'm going to take you quickly on just a quick overview of what we're going to do today. So you'll see the presenters that I have with me today. I'm going to be asking them to introduce themselves as we move through some of their sessions, but you can see them listed on the screen. And we are going to be talking, like I said, brief overview of the college. Then we will go out into breakout sessions. And for those of you who are listening, I would encourage you to stay on the WebEx meeting for the duration. It's going to last about an hour. But if there's a program that you're really interested in and one that you're less interested in, if you need to get up and take a break during one of those, you see the times listed there in the agendas. We're going to start with social work, then go to anthropology and sociology, then go to communication studies and global communications. So be sure to tune in during those specific times if you have specific questions. I would suggest, though, that you stay registered and just logged into the meeting, even if you have to step away, just because I think it'll be easier than having to come back and log back in again. I am going to ask, though, momentarily our exploratory advisors to unmute themselves and briefly introduce themselves, because we're very pleased here in CHaSS to be partnering with our exploratory advising office today, and we have 3 advisors with us who are here to listen in, but also if you have specific questions, they can jump in and answer those as able. So Jana, Maisie, and Annette, would you briefly unmute yourselves and just say hello and tell us who you are?
Hi, I'm Jana Hawes. I am an exploratory advisor. My focus area for advising is business and communications. I absolutely love what CHaSS is doing and the opportunities you guys have being CHaSS students to work in the communications and business field. Totally up and coming, excited to be with you today.
Hi all, my name is Maisie Doherty and I advise the population for humanities and arts. So I love working with the College of Humanities. That's the college I actually graduated in myself. So it's so fun to work with you who are all excited and gung-ho about this opportunity. So I look forward to working with you all.
Hi, I'm Annette Peterson and I work for Exploratory Advising, and my focus area is social sciences and human services. So this is definitely part of the college and I love working with students. So I'm excited to help you find your majors within the College of Humanities and Social Sciences. And I'm also an alumni of the college. So yes, it's a good college to work with and to graduate from.
Excellent. Well, we love our alumni. We love to see them go on to do great things. And we are glad to have Annette and Maisie and Jana joining us today. So I'm going to go to the next slide, and I am going to hand the reins. Sorry, if you'll bear with us for just a second. Tom, I'm going to let you take over. So I will continue to advance the slides and you can just let me know when you want me to go to the next slide. But I'm going to let you tell us a bit about the college and introduce yourself to the group as well.
Thanks, Andrea. So my name is Tom Lilligren. I'm the director over the CHaSS Advising Center with the College of Humanities and Social Sciences. And thanks so much for joining us today. To start, we're going to introduce you a little bit to what our college is about. We're a really diverse college. We have a lot of different programs, and there's a lot of different directions that you can go. But there are some things that kind of unite all of our programs. And most broadly, that's that our colleges are about what it means to be human. So we look at that from a lot of different perspectives, from everything from what the languages that we speak, the literature that we read, our shared history, what that teaches us about ourselves. But then more in the social science area, we look at how we can explain what we do. Look at that from legal perspectives and from sociology, from understanding how we interact and what we can learn from that. So there's a lot of different ways that we look at that. Andrew, why don't you go to the next slide? This is the motto of our college: think, discover, create. And we like to think that we really bring this into all of our programs as well. So this means that our program's focusing on that you're going to think. Our programs ask big questions, and in these areas, in the caring and the service professions or majors, that means examples like that would be, we're asking questions about some of the biggest changes that are happening in society right now. So we're trying to understand. So for example, we have anthropologists and English professors who are asking questions about how digital behavior changes our culture right now and understanding that. We have sociologists who are trying to understand issues of discrimination in many different types, whether that be by race or by gender. So we really ask big questions. And you're going to be able to, if there's things that you're concerned about, things that you're passionate about, this is a good college to explore those. Secondly, discover. So as a college, we're doing research to learn more all the time. We have faculty who are actively engaged in research, and often students can be engaged in that process too. Just a few examples of that. I mean, we have a sociology professor who got a large multi-million-dollar grant to study the relationship between sleep and weight gain. So something that touches on the medical realm, something like that within epidemiology and sociology as well. We have anthropologists who are studying the role of altruism in cultures, both past and present. And then there's ways that we discover really in action too. Like, for example, we have communication studies and anthropology professors who've led civil rights pilgrimages where they are able to go to civil rights sites in the southern United States and not only learn about the history of that, but also learn about how that relates to things that are going on today too. And so there's a chance to really discover through action and through experiencing things yourself too. And then create. In some areas of our college in the humanities, this might mean that we're creating new works of literature and new works of media and areas like journalism. But in so much of these areas, especially in the caring and service areas, a lot of what we focus on is creating connections between people. So we have social workers who are tackling mental health issues and helping people to address the challenges they might be having. Communication studies faculty who are working on conflict management training that you might even experience as a student here in learning how to more effectively manage roommate conflict. And they've had students who are involved in that training and helping to train people too. So our college focuses a lot on creating effective relationships between people and learning how to tackle challenging issues. Let me go to the next slide. So I wanted to show you briefly. Now we're focusing on some specific majors today, but I want to understand some of the breadth of the areas that our college offers. So these are all the programs that we have in humanities. I'm not going to talk about these individually, but you'll see a lot of programs where you can learn about anything from literature to languages to philosophy to religious studies and history, and a lot of different ways that those interact. So there's really quite a big breadth of these. And even if you might be having a specific area that you're thinking of as a major, these are often also options as minors. We'll show that in just a minute. And why don't you go to the next one? Okay. And then the social sciences, this is going to cover a number of the areas that we're talking about today, but you see programs that are really talking more about why it is that we do what we do. So we're talking about that from a political and legal perspective, as well as from a behavioral science perspective in areas like social work, which tends to kind of gather things from a lot of different programs and putting that together into directly wanting to help individual people on that. So these are a number of our different social science programs. I should mention that there are other social science programs at USU that are not part of our college. They're still great social science programs, but those would be things in things like psychology or economics or human development as well. So we don't. This isn't quite a full picture of all the social sciences at USU. Next slide. And I mentioned we have minors. We have a lot of minors, and we could spend a whole meeting talking about all these different minors. And there's a lot of different ways that you can study in areas that interest you. Next slide. And along with minors, we also have certificates. And these certificate programs are great ways that you can get specific expertise that might go along with your major. So these are a few that we offer right now, but we're actually looking at adding a number of additional certificates too. So if there's specific skills you'd like, if you're interested in museums, museum studies is going to give you some very practical experiences in that. Or, if you look at like interfaith leadership or women and gender studies can help to give you some practical experience in learn about certain areas of behavior and working in like really applied knowledge on how you can contribute in certain areas of society. Why don't you go to the next slide? Okay, so broadly, why might go into the caring and service professions or programs? I think the thing that we hear most often with students who are interested in these is, I want to make a difference, or I know that I want to work with people. These programs are going to help you to know how to do that. They're going to give you a chance to make a difference either with individual people, but also by helping to make an impact in society or create systems that might help businesses, organizations, families to improve. And so it's a great way that you can really make an impact in a lot of different ways. Also, I mentioned that organizational and societal change. The skills that you learn can translate really well to leadership. So if you want to be a leader in anything from business to politics and government to nonprofit work, the skills that you learn in these fields can be great ways to help prepare you for that. And it prepares you to learn about people and to work with people of many different backgrounds and to really understand that. And those are skills that are certainly things that translate into almost any field that you may be interested in. You can go to the next slide. And so these are the programs that we're going to focus on for that we've talked about today is anthropology, communication studies, global communication, social work, and sociology. And why don't you, before we separate, why don't we talk a little bit about some of the ways that leads towards potential careers as well. I don't know if Audrey, if you'd like to talk more about that.
So one thing we'd like to really highlight here in CHaSS is the opportunity to learn by doing. Obviously, sometimes I think people assume that because we're the humanities and social sciences, we spend all of our time in books or in the library. And while research and writing are certainly strengths of our program, not all of the research is done inside of a building. Here you see an example of students going outside the classroom at an archaeological site. And so these are opportunities that take students well beyond the classroom. And we do like to stress that it's important to see your experience at Utah State University as not just one of taking excellent classes, but also one where you take advantage of fieldwork, of internships, of research opportunities, of clubs, of many things that will take you outside the classroom and broaden your experience to make you a more well-rounded individual and make you a more competitive job seeker. I'm going to move through some of these quickly just in the interest of time. Here you see Tom mentioned earlier, we also had a number of students who participated in a civil rights pilgrimage. So they not only went outside the classroom, they went outside the state. They traveled to sites in the southern United States and got to do some wonderful research and even some reporting for Utah Public Radio while they were there. Traditionally, we thought about, you take a certain major and you end up over here with a certain career. And there are going to be some fields, even here at Utah State University, that are a bit more linear. If you're studying accountancy, chances are pretty good you want to be an accountant and you'll probably end up an accountant. And that's great. Nothing wrong with that at all. In our college, however, we do have a lot of flexibility, and we think that's one of our strengths. And so instead of seeing one major as leading to one career, we tend to see multiple majors leading to the same career, or to put it another way, a major really being key to sky's the limit to a number of careers. We're leaving students with strong problem solving skills, strong critical thinking skills, strong flexibility, strong adaptability. These are things that employers are looking for, especially in the wake of COVID-19. So we like to think that we're preparing majors for a lot of different options. And today we're going to be focusing on a few of those options. But as Tom mentioned in his overview, there's so many different programs in our college. Really, it's all about where you want to take it and how you'd like to see your experience customized through the classes and the experiences that you have while you're a student at USU. So here, this is just, going over some of those things I've already highlighted. And these, again, are provided to us by NACE. And if you think about what you're able to do in a classroom with CHaSS, you're going to leave with these skills, and that's going to make you a competitive job seeker. And here, Tom has highlighted some of those for me. And again, I've highlighted some of those just to make you aware of the ways in which CHaSS can help you choose the path that's right for you. So Tom, I'm going to ask you to wrap up here with our motto and with our last slide, and then we're going to be moving to our first breakout session in a few minutes. So Tom, if you just want to wrap up quickly, we'll move into the breakout session about social work. Yeah.
Thanks, Andrea. So as you're going into each of these, learning some about each of these different majors, I think you're going to see examples of how this motto might apply into each of these areas, ways that you get to that you're going to be exposed to thinking new things, to asking big questions, to a chance to discover new things and be part of some of the discovery process that's going on in these majors, and then to create. And you can see about what that means both personally and what that can mean and how you might apply what you learned in the classroom. So why don't we go ahead and we can, our first major that we're going to, actually, why don't you, go into the next couple slides down the road as we talk about some of the specific majors here. So our first breakout is going to be with our social work major. And so for any students who are interested in that, you can stay around, and we have Reed Humans and Derek Tollefson, the department head for Sociology, Social Work, and Anthropology, and the advisor for that area. And then we'll have that followed by Sociology and Anthropology. So I'll have me joining as the advisor for Anthropology, and Dr. Christy Glass, who is a sociology professor, as well as the interim director of the Center for Intersectional Gender Studies and Research. And then we'll also have a session with Communication Studies and Global Communication. And that's going to be with Dr. Brad Hall, who is the department head for the Languages, Philosophy, and Communication Studies Department, and Suzanne Wynn, who's the advisor for that area. And so we would love to encourage you to stick around for those areas and hear any questions that you may have about those as well.
And I'm just going to, before I ask Brad and Reed to introduce, before I ask Reed and Derek to introduce themselves and take over our social work breakout, I do just want to remind our listeners, if you have any specific questions about social work during this presentation that you'd like Derek and Reed to consider, please send those to the Q&A. And we'll be sure to try to answer those here live with you. So please let us know. You can participate using that Q&A window. And I'm going to turn things over to Derek and Reed and go to the next slide and give you the next 15 minutes to tell us some of the highlights of the social work program.
Thanks, Andrea and Tom. Like was said, my name is Derek Tollefson. I'm the department head for Sociology, Social Work, and Anthropology. And my background is social work. And so I'm happy to visit with you today about all the things you can do with a social work degree. Our social work program here at Utah State University has a long and storied tradition. It's actually the oldest social work program in the state. and has been continuously accredited since the 70s. We are accredited by the Council on Social Work Education, which is really important for social work programs. If they don't have that accreditation, then the program won't do you much good, because you can't go on to get licensed to practice as a social worker. Speaking of the licensing process, the bachelor's degree in social work qualifies one to obtain the service worker license. And that's really important, because many employers in the human services are requiring their employees to have that license. So the nice thing about graduating in social work is if you go into working in the human services, you already have that taken care of. You just need to sit for the basic social work exam, and once you've passed that, you're good to go. Those who go to work in the human services who don't have an undergraduate degree in social work have to often go on and take additional coursework. So, and sometimes you're paid a little bit more too if you have that social service worker license in your hands. So that's something important to remember. Our social work program also, if you're interested in going on for graduate training, we offer the Master of Social Work degree here at USU as well. And included in that offering is a what we call an advanced standing program for students who've completed the bachelor's degree in social work. They can take an accelerated version of the Master of Social Work degree here at USU as well. So that's something important that you know. Many of our bachelor's social work program graduates go on eventually to get the master's degree in social work. The job outlook for social workers continues to be strong, even in the face of budget cuts that are certainly happening related to the COVID-19 situation. The need for core human services does not go away, and so those services continue, and we see strong demand for social workers off into the future. So the job prospects for social work are good. We have a great program. We have a version of the program that's available here on the Logan campus. We also have a version of the program that's available at our statewide campuses for students who live outside of Logan. There's a version that students can participate in by attending one of the regional campuses. We are offering more and more online course options as well, and we believe we will soon have a fully online variation of the undergraduate degree in social work. The same can be said for sociology and anthropology, but I'll leave that to Tom and Christy to talk about as they wish. So we have a wonderful faculty here, and this is a very competitive major. So if you decide to pursue social work as a major, it's really important that you get with Reed, our wonderful advisor, and that you get the right classes in the right order, and that you do really well. So maybe I'll pause for a second and let Reed chime in and tell us what's on his mind.
Well, thank you, Dr. Tollefson. Yeah, my name is Reed Humans, and I'm the advisor for social work. Nice to have some interest in social work. Come see me. In the chat, I have put, I hope, information on how to get in touch with me. CHaSS, C-H-A-S-S, chassadvising.usu.edu is how you can make an appointment with me. Reed Humans, reid.humans at usu.edu is my email. If any of you are coming in and wanting to do an exploration with social work, and you're bringing in an out-of-state associate's degree, I really want to see you as soon as possible. Excuse me. The university, well, the state of Utah requires certain attributes to be met within an associate's degree. once in a while we find something missing. So let's address that and get on top of that before we continue on as soon as we can. But anyway, I'm available. Nice to talk with you, and come see me when you can, or write to me, or whenever we get it back on campus, or anyway, yeah, come and see me as soon as you can. I'd love to meet with y'all. Thanks.
Thanks, Reed. So maybe I'll just wrap up our portion by saying we are available to you. We're now Zoom masters or WebEx meeting masters. So if you want to have a sort of face-to-face meeting with one of us to talk about your questions, it's really easy. Just get a hold of me. I put my email in the chat, and we're happy to set up a Zoom meeting with you or a WebEx meeting and have that kind of more personal visit with you. So looking forward to that. And when we're on campus, come by and see me in Old Main, and look forward to visiting with you and answering your questions. Thanks.
And Derek and Reed, just since we have about 3 minutes left before we move to the next session, I have a question, which is just, we talked about some of those hands-on experiences that are pivotal in CHaSS. And I know that you guys do great work in the classroom, but can you talk a little bit about the practicum or some of the other experiences that a social work student might have that will take them beyond the classroom?
Yes, thanks, Andrea. The social work major requires graduates to complete a practicum experience. So you will be assigned to a practicum agency. We have a very elaborate and wonderful process that we follow to connect students with agencies. And so you complete nearly 500 hours in the undergraduate program in a practicum experience that has an accompanying seminar where we process together the things that you're experiencing out in the agencies. Those placements are available in too many agencies to mention today, but in healthcare and public services, child welfare, criminal justice, the list goes on and on. So you will have that experience as a social work major. You'll have to get out there and have an agency experience.
Wonderful. And exploratory advisors, do you have any questions about social work, or do you want to share any experiences you've heard from exploratory or, incoming students who might have questions if they're thinking about trying the social work program? Or Reed, do you have any final comments for a student who might be thinking about switching to the social work major?
Yes, come see me. That's all.
All right. Well, then if you want to make an appointment with Reed or find out more about the program from Department Head Derek, they have both listed their contact information in the chat. And at the end of today's series, we'll be sharing everyone's email addresses as well. So thank you both so much for telling us a bit more about the social work program. Both of you are welcome to stick around for the rest of our breakout sessions, but we understand too if you need to leave early. But I do hope that students who are listening feel like they know a bit more about the social work program. We know this is a really short format today, and we're just giving you sort of a very quick overview of each of these programs. But again, attendees who are listening, if you want to find out more, feel free to use Reed and Derek. They're great resources, and they can tell you more about the program. And we are just now right at noon. So we are going to switch gears just a bit, and we are going to move to talking about our sociology and anthropology programs. And that's going to be with Professor Chrissy Glass and Tom Lilligren, who you've already heard from this morning. So Tom and Chrissy, I'm going to hand things over to you, let you introduce yourselves, and then I'll stop sharing my slides so that folks can see you as you're telling us a bit more about these programs.
Would you like to lead off, Christy, with sociology, and then we can talk about anthropology a little after that?
Okay, sure. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome. I wish we were in the same room together, but since that's not possible, this is the next best thing. Let me tell you, let me start with sociology. You know, thinking about some of those skills that Andrea mentioned, those skills that employers really care about, you know, interpersonal skills, communication skills, critical thinking and problem solving skills, the ability to analyze complex information. I think in sociology, we're really deliberate about making sure every one of our students leaves our programs with those that set of skills. For example, we require our students to take theory that teaches you how to think critically and engage with different perspectives. Our students have to take methods and statistics courses. These teach you how to collect and analyze different types of evidence and reach conclusions or make decisions based on evidence and data. And then, of course, we expose students to a broad range of you know, topical courses in crime and deviance, social inequality, social change, health and well-being, so that all of our students graduate with a really well-rounded set of skills, but also perspectives that serve them not just as employees and students searching for jobs in the labor market, but also prepares you for citizenship and to be a good human being and to understand the world and all its complexity. The other thing I'd say is, you know, speaking for all of my colleagues, we do what we do because we love it. We love to work with students in the classroom and outside of the classroom. We love our jobs. We love, and what makes our jobs magical is you, the students who come and study with us and learn with us. And as you're seeing with Reed and Tom, we have amazing advisors who make sure our students have the support they need to make sure they're moving through our majors and minors in a timely fashion. The other thing I want to say to you now is we're in a really uncertain time. We don't know what the fall semester will look like or the spring semester, and this is such a strange time to be thinking about college and thinking about majors. But one thing I'll say about our major in sociology, our minor in sociology, is we have lots of experience teaching online, hybrid, and broadcast courses. This isn't anything new for our faculty. We've been doing this for many years. So when you sign up for our classes, whether it's face-to-face, whether it's online or broadcast or hybrid, you're gonna have an instructor that has lots of experience teaching in those formats and who are gonna make sure you have a world-class education no matter what the future holds in terms of the method of our instructions. So what does sociology offer? We offer a major and minor, and for those interested in continuing, we have a master's degree and a PhD program. We have a very strong CJ emphasis and minor. We have outstanding criminal justice faculty in Logan and across the state. Many former law enforcement agents and officers who are providing really a cutting edge world-class education in criminal justice at Utah State. We offer a law and society certificate. The areas of emphasis, as I mentioned, are crime and deviance, social inequality, social change, and health and well-being. Our students go on to work in every field you can imagine, from criminal justice to healthcare to nonprofit leadership. I have a student, for example, who's working for the census right now at such a critical time. Our students go on to be scholars, researchers, leaders in business and politics, and you name it, because our major prepares students so well in all of the areas that Andrea mentioned. We set our students up for success no matter where they go from here. As undergraduates in our program, many of our students get involved in undergraduate research. We have an incredible track record of supporting students and hands-on undergraduate research, and many of our undergraduate students compete successfully for the resources on campus for undergraduate research. So ERCO grants. We have a student this summer who's part of the Peak Summer Fellowship Program. We I think do a great job of bringing our students outside of the classroom and engaging them in our research projects. and that gives students the opportunity to apply their skills to actual projects, to work with other students in research teams, to work one-on-one with faculty, and to really start to hone those skills that they're learning in the classroom. So I'll put my name and email in the comments too. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me or to reach out to Reed or Tom or others if you're interested in the sociology major. The last thing I'll say is stay tuned, because in addition to being a sociology professor, I'm the interim director for a new and really exciting program at USU, the Center for Intersectional Gender Studies and Research, and we are preparing to launch a minor in intersectional gender studies, a certificate in sexuality studies, and a certificate that we're extremely excited about in inclusive leadership. And that inclusive leadership certificate will be available to all students at USU, regardless of your major. And our goal with that program is to prepare students to lead in an increasingly diverse and global world. And it's particularly aimed at students who are planning careers in leadership in public, private, or nonprofit sectors. And students will have access to skills-based training, as well as exposure to skills and knowledge in community engaged leadership, conflict, power, and difference, and inclusive leadership skills. So we're so excited about that program. That will launch in fall 2021. So stay tuned for that. And you can also contact me about how you can be taking courses in the coming year that we're offering that will count once you sign into the certificate or the minor program. So we're really excited about that. And we feel like it's just one more way in which we in CHaSS are going to prepare our students, not just for careers in the service professions, but leadership across those careers. So we're thrilled about that. Thank you.
All right, and I'm Tom Lilligren again, and I'm here to represent Anthropology. Does that sound okay if I jump on in here? So what anthropology broadly is really the study of understanding humanity and human culture, looking at that across time, both in the past and in the present. And as a major, there's a lot of different ways that you can go about doing that. I think one of the main things that draws people to anthropology is a lot of times they just say that I'm really interested in culture. I'm really interested in learning more about people. And anthropology is a great way that you can study that in a lot of different ways. There's three main focuses within anthropology that as a student, you get to really kind of choose your path some within these areas. So the three focus areas that we have. First, there's cultural anthropology. And that oftentimes is going to study not only understanding different cultures, but also understanding certain aspects of culture. So we have classes that you specifically on Latin American cultures, on African cultures, on Native American cultures. So those focus on understanding specific cultures. But then other classes that are going to be focusing on learning more about religions across culture, learning more about medical traditions across different cultures. So you kind of learn about a certain aspect of culture across many different cultures. The second area of anthropology, we have biological anthropology, and that's understanding kind of humans as a biological species. How does our biology influence what we do and the cultures that we develop? But also what makes us different from other species. So it looks at our development from an evolutionary perspective on why we are the way we are, and how that's the same and how that's different from other species. So there's classes, and some of those classes are even things that kind of cross paths with biology and with other sciences as well. So, for example, we have a bone lab, a class in osteology, where you get some kind of hands-on experience working with that. We also have classes that are going to look at or a class in bioarchaeology, which looks at understanding things, the remains of the past and what we learn about our species and from biology from that. And And so those would be a few examples. Oh, but you also have classes on things like primatology, and where you're going to learn about other species too. And then the third area of focus that we have within anthropology is archaeology. And that's really understanding the cultures of the past from things that are left behind. And so there's classes on that. There's some where we're going to focus on what we've learned about certain areas from what's left behind. We have things about ancient cultures and Latin American cultures and Native American cultures. We're going to focus on what we've learned. But there's also a lot of classes that are going to focus on what are the specific skills that you need to be an archaeologist. So classes, we're going to learn about zooarchaeology. What do we learn from animals and animal remains that are left behind in the past? I mentioned bioarchaeology, but also notably we have field schools where you get experience being an archaeologist and getting a really hands-on experience with that. So I think something that's unique about anthropology is, as within any area that you're focusing, you're going to get an intro to all of those areas. So you'll get a kind of a well-rounded introduction to anthropology. But beyond that, you can really create a lot of your own path. And so you work with me as an advisor, you think about your own interests. You'll also have a faculty mentor and get to know a lot of the faculty. You can kind of design what path is based on what your interests are within the major to figure out kind of how you want to navigate the path of that major. Some of the things that I saw a question here asking what type of jobs you get in anthropology. It's a unique field because one, I mean, certainly you can be a cultural anthropologist, you can be an archaeologist, and that's going to require some study beyond your degree at USU most of the time, although there are ways that you can be an archaeologist with a bachelor's degree and do a lot of work being an archaeology tech and with that bachelor's, and sometimes even as you're a student, you can be doing some of that. But also it's a field that the degree can lead you towards a lot of different areas too. So if you think some of those skills that you're going to develop with critical thinking, of being able to write and to analyze, but especially I think what's unique to anthropology is how much you're going to learn about really understanding other cultures, being very culturally competent, and know how to kind of interact and make sense of cultural differences is skills that I think can apply to a lot of different areas. So we see a lot of students who go into anthropology because they're interested in working in a nonprofit, or they're interested in, might be interested in working in a government related job. But it can be applied to even to the business field, to almost any area that you want. I think you can tailor it to by what you specialize in along with anthropology, and sometimes what you do even along with the major. So just a few examples that I've seen recently. We had a student who got a fantastic job working in a zoo when she graduated. Anthropology that is not designed to necessarily prepare you to work in a job that most often is going to go to maybe students with a zoology background or a biology background. But she, by getting really cool internships and some unique classes along with her degree, was able to go straight into a job in that area. We have another student who's teaching English full time, but then also starting a business on helping people to navigate the challenges of traveling abroad. And that's something that that again, not specific to anthropology, but those skills that he's learning in anthropology are totally preparing him for what he's doing with that. So there's a lot of different ways that you can go with that. I know we're just about out of time, but I want to mention some of the things that are I think some of the most exciting things about anthropology is, one, I think that we really have a great faculty who are very, very friendly, very welcoming. I think they're going to be great assets and great mentors for you as you're in the program. But also, there's some really cool things that you can get firsthand experience on, whether that's the field schools that I mentioned, so you'll get experience being an archaeologist if you want to. We also have field schools where you study abroad, where you go abroad in cultural field schools. So we've gone to Brazil and Peru are the two main cultural field schools we've done. And then also experiences on campus from the osteology lab that I mentioned, as well as, so we have an anthropology museum that's all run by our students. We have a director who's a faculty member, but exhibits are really done by students, and so you can get first-hand experience and things like that if you're interested too. So that's kind of brought an overview of the anthropology program. I think it's a great program, great faculty who are really a friendly bunch and want to work with you. And I'd be more than happy for any of you who are interested to meet with you and talk about how to get started in that too.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tom and Christy. That was a great overview of those programs. And I should also mention that Reed Humans, who you met during the social work presentation, advises for sociology. Tom is the advisor for anthropology. Christy mentioned that at the start of her talk, but I wanted to just remind students of that. So if you have questions about those programs, you have resources you can reach out to. And again, we will be sharing everyone's information at the end, and you'll see it as well in the chat. So I'm going to turn the time over to introduce Brad and Suzanne, and we're going to talk next and finally about our communication studies and global communication programs. So Brad and Suzanne, I'm going to mute myself and turn the time over to you.
Okay, wonderful. I'm going to start off and then we'll follow up with some more information as we go. I'm hearing an echo. Is that?
I'm going to try muting some of the other participants, Brad, to try to take care of that, and you can continue. I'll try to fix that in the background.
So I'll just go ahead and get started. Hopefully, as you're listening, you're not catching. That's part of the joys of technology. But when our students leave in the communication studies or global communication program, we always do some exit interviews to find out what they've thought about the program and that sort of thing. And three of the things that come out the strongest and the most frequent are: one, they love the professors. They have talked about the relationship they have, the support they feel, the caring that professors actually know them by name, interact with them in ways that help them grow as individuals and for their career. Another is the sense of community that they feel gets mentioned a lot within the communication programs. Some of the activities that we do related to the major as far as people going on, but also related to just enjoying time together. And then a third one is how applicable everything is. Regardless they're in, they can apply things in ways in an everyday sense. So whether you're involved in a conflict or you're involved in relationships with your family, your friends, your roommates, your coworkers, jobs you have right now, jobs you'll have in the future, you learn things that apply in an everyday way. These are not things that you're just thinking about that maybe someday you'll use them. I have so many times listened to a student during the exit interview when they're talking about things that they enjoyed say, I could go to class and every day I could apply something to an experience that I was going through that very day, either with a friend or with my work that I had right then. Whatever it happens to be. So in the communication studies program, I'll just mention a couple of things related to that. There is a lot of training related to conflict, related to dealing with that in positive ways and having it be a productive situation. There's a lot of information about persuasion, about how we influence people in ethical and positive ways, and how to resist when we're those that are trying to influence us and persuade us in unethical ways. There's a lot of information about cultural sensitivity, about leadership skills, about working as a team, all those skills that you think of. It's interesting, a couple of the students in the most recent capstone class, as I was talking to them about it, said that one of the key words they learned in communication studies was it depends. I saw this morning that with this pandemic going on, that one of the big skills that employers are starting to look for is the ability to be flexible and adaptable. And that notion of it depends, you'll learn that in the communication studies classes. What does it depend on? When? Where? How do you use a different approach to be successful in whatever setting you're in? So learning to be flexible, learning to adjust, learning to work with other people and build relationships in positive ways, whether that's in a workplace or not. Work in nonprofit organizations. There really is no business or no corporation. We have a lot of people that get into healthcare services. Probably one of the reasons why we're in with a group with the caring and service oriented, because communication is an essential part of everything we do, whether that's in the workplace or in our life. And so the types of things that you're learning, the types of experiences that you're having both inside and outside the classroom are essential. And in global communication, the same is true. We're in a global environment. And while there may be certain limitations at this moment with the pandemic on travel, those won't last forever. And we have lots of interactions. In the global communication program, we require a practicum where students typically go international. They work on internships. We've had them work in embassies in other countries. We've had them work at a radio station in Mexico. We've had them work in different locations throughout the world, in Europe, South America, China, Thailand. I just read a report back on one who had gone to the Philippines and the great experience that they had there. So you go to all parts of the world. If you're trying to understand how do different people from different cultures interact, how do they communicate? How do they make sense of their world and make relationships? And not always the same. Global communication is a wonderful major for that. So both global communication and communication studies provides a lot of training, a lot of community sense, and a lot of application where you'll be able to use that in whatever you find an interest in. And there is such a wide variety. It's like what was mentioned earlier. Some fields and departments and things are very designed for a particular position, but this one will help you regardless of what area you're going into career-wise. So that's kind of some brief summary statements. I don't want to take all the time. We have a wonderful advisor, Suzanne Wynn, and I want to give her a time to maybe mention a few things related to the particular major, and then if there's time, I might follow up with some other thoughts. So Suzanne, are you there? Can you jump in at this point?
Yeah, I'm right here. Like to welcome you, and we're excited for you to come to Utah State University, and it's an adventure to figure out what you're doing and what classes to take, and the majors that I work with. And maybe Brad mentioned in global communication, you also learn a language. Is that right? I kind of lost the group for a few minutes. But so you're working on a language for global too, and progressing in that. And that's really exciting. A lot of interest. There's a lot of people interested in languages. Communication, they're just really tremendous. And what Brad said is just so true, that students just love studying what they're learning every day. I hear comments all the time. And so it's a very popular program, both of those. And so it can be a little hard to get into classes, but we're able to get you in. You're able to get done in 4 years. So I like to make plans for our students that come in and see me. And we don't usually have any issues or problems meeting. There's a lot of interest, but we have a lot of time. I like to spend time with you to make sure you're in the classes that you want. So I hope you can see on the chat that my email is there. I thank Brad for putting that on there, but you're welcome to email me if you have any questions. Is that okay?
That's wonderful. Looks like we might have just a couple of more minutes. I not seen any specific question that comes out, but certainly both Suzanne and myself and other faculty are more than happy to answer questions, either through email, through Zoom meetings, or when you come here on campus. We'll make arrangements with the social distancing that we've got going on, but doing it in appropriate ways to make sure that you get the support that you need. You know, one of the wonderful things is all the programs you've heard about, even the ones right before us that we're presenting, as well as our own, are really, I think, designed with you, the student, in mind, and are the faculty are willing to be supportive of the types of things that you're doing. It's great to be in a college and with colleagues who care about education, and especially care about you as the students. So, whether you've got questions about how do I manage this issue of conflict that's been going on for years perhaps, or just a short time, or how do I build a better relationship with people, or how do I persuade somebody in a way that is a positive thing, and how do I be open to listen and to learn about others and maybe discover new things in my own mind, especially as it relates to culture, but just understanding other perspectives so that I can be a good leader, so that I can, the leadership that was mentioned, focus there is something that we have a class right on leadership. That's one of the popular classes. We have classes in health communication for those that are going into the health area. We have classes in just such a wide range of things, because communication influences all parts of our life. So I will look forward to interacting with you as you are here at Utah State and going through things. And I think you will find, as you experiment with the different courses and the different areas that we have to offer, that you're going to be able to find things that will really make a positive difference for you. And I know both the global communication and the communication studies programs, the students that are part of that love it. We love being part of those programs. We love teaching those courses and working with you and with our current students. So unless there's other questions, that probably wraps things up for our perspective. Is there?
Thank you.
Looking, I don't see the question. So it's been good to visit with you.
Thank you so much, Brad, and thank you, Suzanne. I just want to mention as we wrap up the session on global communication and communication studies that I personally have been taking a professional development course with Matt Sanders from your program on leadership at the employee level, and have found it incredibly rewarding. And we also survey students in a lot of the things we do, and some of the students that we've surveyed have who have been CHaSS majors have stressed, even if they're not comp studies or global comm majors, they have suggested that incoming students should really think about taking a leadership or conflict management class, just because these are skills that are applicable, as you pointed out, in so many careers. And you will never find a student who interviews better for a job than a student who has had some communication studies classes or as a comp studies major. So as Brad and Suzanne point out, these really give you some great skills that you can take into a variety of careers. So thank you for focusing on some of your caring and service experiences this morning and talking about healthcare and conflict. Those are some things that I think could really interest students in this area. So as we wrap up today, we are almost at exactly 12:30. I just want to do as promised and share with everyone the contact information. So if you've been listening this morning and you have follow-up questions for any of our panelists and presenters today, I have listed here all of our names and all of our email addresses. So if you didn't pull them from the chat feature, this would be a good slide to screen grab right now. But of course, all of this information also lives at our website, chass.usu.edu. You can find this information. You can visit our departments. You can learn more about specific programs you heard about today, or learn more about the departments in which they're housed. I also want to thank our exploratory advisors, Jana, Maisie, and Annette, for listening in this morning. Again, they do so much to help students who are exploring different experiences at Utah State find their way to the path that's right for them. And we love working with them, and will continue to act as a resource for any students who are interested in pursuing any of our degrees. So thank you to our presenters. Thank you to Exploratory Advising for helping us make people aware of this opportunity. And thank you so much, attendees, for coming today and listening to this, especially as it is the first of our virtual presentations. We normally do some outreach in the summer in person, and we weren't able to do that, obviously, so we had to take it online, and today was our first one. So thank you for bearing with any technical difficulties and being our guinea pigs this morning. We really appreciate it. So thank you, everyone. And we have recorded this, and we do plan to make it available on the advising website and the CHaSS website. So you should see this resource appear in a short while so that you can come back and visit anything that you may have missed today. So I'm going to sign off and wish everyone a good afternoon. Thank you so much, everyone.